Pregame.tv discussing the main event poker tournament here at the Rio. It's here. It's going on day 2 as we are filming here, but all kinds of opportunities to not just to play in the main event, but surrounding the main event. Bryan, poker, something you've never really gotten into, right?
I'm not a poker player, but to be honest with you, I just left the Rio. I went over to stop in the sports book at Harris Property, get some sheets and some of the futures. It's pretty busy there.
Did you walk back into the
I didn't go back
poker?
there, but over by the sports book, they've got the poker
All the
they
degenerates go over there. You see,
yeah,
like the Gavin Smiths and the, I think you can get away from the blackjack tables, you know, going all the way back over there and to play. But a lot of loose money in town. That's really, like, whenever you see a big fight, that happens with the main. People pay, it's a natural reaction. You pay $10,000 to play a tournament that you may be eliminated in after 1 hour. But what are you going to do after that? Not gamble anymore?
Right. Good point. Good point.
A quick background on some of the stuff that I like to do around the main event. They always have satellites and then super satellites and mega satellites. You pay $500, $1,000, $2,000, and they just put the money in the prize pool, do the math, and however many people it can cover for an entry, they go ahead and give that. I played a $2,000, that's the only one I played in, the night before the main event started, and I was lucky enough to qualify. And then so they dropped me off the $10,000 in chips, and I'm thinking, now, I'm supposed to use this for the main event, but obviously there's a white market for these chips. I could just sell them to someone else who's going to buy into the tournament. Do I play the tournament? And I am a good poker player. You know, my stats show that I'm a profitable poker player. And I have played in the main event a couple times before, got knocked out days 2 and 3, and I'm thinking to myself, I really want to play the main event, but what I don't want to do is be waking up at 7:30 a.m., exhausted and helping take care of the baby on the days, you know, the time when I'm not playing the main event, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday for 14 hours. I don't want to be like so sleep deprived, doing all my sports handicapping, going through my CFL, trying to figure out, you know, who's going to win the Thursday game and put my plays together. And suddenly you get spread too thin. It's the peanut butter approach. You start doing everything badly.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't play poker is I just don't have the patience for it. I mean, to be a good poker player, you've got to have great concentration, you've got to be great in math, and you've got to have a lot of patience. My concentration is not that great.
You don't really have to be great. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be great in math. You'd be fine math.
Right.
Because people memorize, like you hear that all the time. People say, "Oh, well, I had a 36% chance to get there," and they're estimating. They're using the rule of 4. They're like at a flush draw, and they just count their outs and multiply by 9. Yeah.
And for getting in it or not, I mean, there's a lot of guys. I mean, that's very popular. People buy percentages of each other when they get in it because the chances of somebody winning, was there 8,000 people in it this year? I mean, actually
6,300. And it has gone down from 2005 almost every year. I believe it's slowly dropped.
I thought I had
slowly, small. It was like peaked at 8,000. Now it's down to like 6,300. A lot of that is faraway places aren't sending people in anymore.
That's true. They're not sponsored. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big deal. You know, one thing that's really advantageous, and this happens in sports also. It's like Super Bowl weekend. It's probably the best possible weekend to be betting on NBA basketball because there's people are paying attention to other things, and so what you find, and there'll be situations, people are going to be dropping bombs down on bets, and it wouldn't be unusual, like on a Laker game during the Super Bowl weekend, that you see the line will be 11 at one place, 10 everywhere else. That simply doesn't happen most of the time during a regular weekend. But when you get all that loose money in town, all of a sudden you get some big gamblers that don't know what they're doing, and that can really create opportunities. And that happens. I know I've got friends that are poker players, and the guy told me, like, he's playing his open-faced Chinese, and he's like, I had to play this $25 a point game, which is a huge game. He says, I can't believe these guys were in this. I can't even handle this with my bankroll. He actually said, "Okay, can you take a third of me in this game?" You know, just because he was a little scared about that. He really knew his bankroll couldn't handle it. And he said, just to let you know, I might need you to drive on over and drop some money. And I was thrilled to be taking a piece of him.
I know, and you made a references to people being in town and playing a positive advantage. I know when the NBA had their strike and the union representatives all came here, these are a lot of rich athletes coming to a town to gamble. They don't have to worry about a game the next day or whatever. So there was a lot of, let's say, easy money floating around the casinos at that time. And I know guys that play a lot of blackjack, play a lot of poker, that kind of thing. And they had a really good time. And even the blackjack players, could go in and say, hey, if I'm playing with, 2 NBA players at my table, I don't think I'm going to get a tap. People, someone saying don't play anymore because it just look bad. And just as long as I'm not a pig, they're probably going to let me get away with at least this session, and then just, maybe don't come back for a while. Quick little story. Yeah. I've got a buddy back with Cleveland. He was a pretty good high roller at one point, and he came out here, and it was back when the NBA had some sort of a strike. It wasn't the one I just spoke of. It was before that. But he goes into the high-level pit, and he sees Michael Jordan playing in the high-level pit, and he goes, I'm going to go play with Michael Jordan. So he sits down and is having a conversation with Michael Jordan. They're sitting there having a few beers, having a good old time. And my friend's really outgoing. He's like you in VR. He's out there and making a lot of friends. All of a sudden, Patrick Ewing comes up. He goes, hey, Michael, how's it going? Michael says, good. Leave my buddy and I alone. We're winning on a hot streak here. and then Patrick Ewing puts his hand out and he goes, oh, hi, my name's Patrick Ewing. My buddy turns around and he goes, no shit. That's a great story.
Yeah, there's not too many like 7-foot monsters, you know.
The guy was huge.
Running around. I was in my gym like one time a year. I make my cameo appearance, and there was a guy, and I almost wanted to ask him, "Are you a professional wrestler?" The guy was just a tank. He was benching with 3 plates on each side. That was his warm-up set. I've never seen that before. So he's benching 315, I guess it is, as his warm-up set.
I can do 3 dinner plates on each side. That's about.
Yeah, it's more like I'll eat 3 plates. So sounds good. But the moral of the story here, I'm going to go ahead and make this the free play recommendation. Okay, whenever you have a big fight, whenever the Super Bowl, whenever the World Series of Poker, the light bulb should go on and say, how can I benefit from this as a pro gambler? And a big part of that is to go where the loose money is. So go down to the Rio, and you know these guys are busting out of the main event. There's some very good players, some not so good players. Find game selection. Find the game where you've got the soft money going into. You may have to go multiple times. You may try a game, and it'll be a tough game. Keep moving around. It is very unlikely that you won't be able to find some really, really good games. It helps, obviously, if you play multiple games, but I'm finding completely hit or miss that some of the games are some of the best games I've ever seen poker-wise. And I've been at a couple tables where, I played with these guys before. Like, I sit down, I'm like, table change request immediately. So I think that is absolutely the way to go. Where there's a lot of money, there's usually a way for a good gambler to be able to get some money. That's my best bet.
And I do want to point out the times you want to be in Vegas. You pointed it out. When the strippers and the hookers want to be in Vegas, that's the time you want to be there. Not necessarily for the strippers and the hookers, but they're coming to town because there's a lot of money flowing around. There's money flowing around for hookers, a lot of money flowing around for strippers, lots of money thrown around here for guys in the sports book and the poker table. So
you may want to avoid the rodeo. You may want to avoid the Electric Daisy Carnival. And you may want to avoid NASCAR weekends.
Yep.
Right? Those are like 3.
My sister's a cocktail waitress, and she tells me who tips and who doesn't.
Yeah, I would think that would not stack up nearly as well as the NBA Summer League or something along those lines. Yeah. That obviously in a big title fight and things like that, it's just phenomenal. It's going to be a great second half of the year here. Pregame, I can't wait to be breaking down all kinds of events. And you're going to do more college football or NFL this coming football season?
I always do more work in college, but. Yeah. The last couple of years, I've had more success in the NFL. So, the Mac is where I make my money.
I like it. Stay with us. Pregame.tv. Football. It won't be long. Hang with us.